Texas A&Ms, right? But they haven't had a top 50 win since February 2nd. So I like Liberty's defense and the pace. So when it comes to defense and pace, I kind of like the points here, and I took it at +7. And if you can find a +7, it's a play. At +6.5, it's a lean. But I also lean under 134. So I am on your side right there, Kyle, leaning 134 on this game. Let's move right into UCF versus VCU. Very interesting game. VCU is at about a +1. UCF's favored by around 1. Over under at 126.5. Played in Columbia, South Carolina. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, first of all, I think this is a great game as a fan. This is a game that you're going to want to tune into. Very, very interesting game here. I hope Evans plays for VCU as a fan, because I think he's their most important player for VCU. So I see he's still questionable. No update on him. Helps them that they play the late game on Friday night, so he has the most time to get ready that you could possibly have. I will say, what happens here when VCU starts pressing UCF, they're not used to seeing that press. I mean, that's going to be something totally different than what they've seen throughout the course of the season. At the same time, you could say VCU plays nobody like Taco Fall. You got that huge guy in the middle as far as height, really tall guy in the middle of the paint there, just swatting shots, changing shots. He changes the entire complexion of how you need to run offense. You can't just meander your way down into the paint and try to get one of those fouls. He's going to swat everything away. So both of these teams are very good at drawing fouls. That would be my concern with taking the under in a game like this. I think that a lot of people say, well, UCF's so good on defense, VCU so good on defense. Yes, but both of them play relatively quickly. And we have a total of 126.5 here. My lean would be the over here, especially if Evans plays. As far as the side, I think this is a 50-50 game. So, I see UCF now favored by 1.5. I think that has a lot to do with the fact of the unknown about Evans' status here.
Yeah, and you like the total over because of the fouling?
Yeah, I think that both teams get to the line so much, and they both play pretty quickly. VCU obviously plays really quickly. UCF on offense tries to push the tempo. They slow people down on defense because of that, strong defense with Taco Fall in the middle when they switch up man and zone. But I would say that I think that the tempo here, while I don't think it'll be blazing fast, it's going to be far faster than a lot of games that have a total of 126.5.
Yeah, the fouling could be an issue. And I tied a total when VCU against Rhode Island. They scored about 40 points in the first half. The total was like 135. And I'm like, this is a winner. Oh my God. And it went, that thing fouling at the end destroyed me. But this is exactly the reason why I have this play. This is a very interesting game. Two mid-major type basketball conferences facing off. Both teams coming off disappointing losses in their conference tournaments. You have amazing defense with VCU ranked 7th on KenPom. And then you have the tallest guy in basketball, just like you said, Taco Fall, 7'6". VCU plays a little bit faster than average, but they shoot poorly. 43% on the road in a weaker division, than a bigger division. So UCF shoots a nice 46% on the road and outscores much of their opponents. But just like you said, how are they going to go against that pressure defense, the full court press, that VCU throws out there? The edge on offense goes to UCF, ranking 90th in effective field goal percentage, while VCU only ranks 177th. So you got one a little bit of edge on offense, one a big edge on defense. Both teams so bad at shooting free throws, though. Neither of are over 70% free throw shooting, And so, I was looking at that. And I was also looking at the fact that VCU is a bad 3-point shooter. They rank 330th in the nation at only 30.7%. And then you have UCF at free throws ranking 333rd 333rd, 64.5%. So this kind of goes into what I like. I think the play is the first half under. Okay. And the reason that is because they're going to have to feel each other out. Two different styles, like you said, they're going to press. I think there's going to be some clock running. I do agree there's going to be a ton of fouling at the end. But, both teams, with how bad they shoot free throws, I think the free throws happen at the very end. I'm going to take the first half under 58.5. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that makes sense if you like the under to take the first half under based on the fact that these are two totally different defenses than what they see in the regular season. So they, having to feel the other team out makes a lot of sense. And I also think that there's a very real chance of a foul fest or even overtime in this game. If you like the full game under, that would be certainly very tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you start seeing a bunch of fouls happen in the first half, then that over might be done, unfortunately. But, if some players are being in foul trouble, they're going to have to sit. So keep that in mind, for the second half of the game as well. So like you said, there's going to be some fouls. I'm just thinking the fouls will be in the second half. Let's move right into the final game we are discussing, Kyle. Your Ohio State Buckeyes versus Iowa State. Iowa State's laying about 5.5, over under 139.5. This place is in Big 12 country, Tulsa, Oklahoma. What's going on with this one?
We've got Iowa State with 69% of the bets, 62% of the money. Look, Ohio State is not nearly as good a team without Caleb Wesson. So I think the first thing I would say is, if you look at Ohio State's games there where they played Purdue, Northwestern, games like that, without Caleb Wesson, that's not the way to handicap this game. Wesson is easily their most important player, not even close. When he's in there, Ohio State's a decent team. When he's not in there, Ohio State's no good. I mean, they're just, they play hard. I think Holtman's a good coach. He'll have more talent in the future. Ohio State's not a great team even with him, but they are far more competitive. Iowa State, to me, a team that wasn't really healthy throughout the course of the season. I think Iowa State certainly has a higher upside than does Ohio State. Obviously this is coming from the Buckeyes fan, but I always try to see it objectively. I think Ohio State will try to slow the tempo of this game down. You see a total of 140. I think Iowa State will be trying to push. The Buckeyes will be trying to slow the game down here. I think that total's pretty fair, though. I don't see any big edge there. If I had to play this game, I'd probably take Iowa State and lay the points, but I don't have to play the game, and I don't think I will. So I'm just going to watch this one as a fan, and, I think this line's just about right.
It sucks playing the team that it's your favorite, especially if you double lose. So that's
right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you fade them, and then you lose stupidly, like that Wisconsin Ohio State. Well, you almost did. It went overtime. It was a bad beat for anybody, on that side. So I totally get what you're saying. It looks like Ohio State, is going to Big 12 country, and I think there's something to say about that. It's not like it's close to Iowa State to go to Tulsa, but it's still the feeling there. They are a terrible team without Caleb Wesson, the Buckeyes. You are right. And you got an offense versus defense game. Iowa State ranks 9th in the country in offense. Ohio State ranks 29th in defense. But their offense of Ohio State is only 75th against Iowa State's 59th defense. I want to fade Ohio State. I really do. And I thought when I was doing the handicap, I was going to be taking, Iowa State. But it just didn't work out because Iowa State's really been faltering. They were so great as an away team for a while, and then if you look at the last month, they've been getting their butts kicked on the road. So I don't know what happened to them there, but I'm worried. And now they're playing that slower style Ohio State game. Ohio State kind of played better without Wesson. With Wesson, the last two games is what I'm trying to say is with Wesson. They did well. They beat Indiana, and then they only lost to State by 7, And I think State was laying a lot more than 7 in that game. So Ohio State, they're kind of unpredictable here. I don't know what we're going to see out of them. If I had to play this game gun to the head, I would lean Ohio State plus 5.5 just because of the weirdness of it. But I'm not playing this game, Kyle, so we don't have to worry about that, my man. Well, man, I took enough of your time, Kyle. Do you have any picks for our listeners that you'd like to give out?
I have a free pick here for a game here on Thursday evening, and I already know that you like it because you alluded to this as we were talking about it, and I tried to not say too much because I knew this was going to be my free pick at the end of the show. St. Mary's and Villanova under the total. I'm going to take under 130.5. Just the tempo of this game. You already see sharp money taking this one here. As the line got up to 131, it's been hit back down. 73% of the money now on the under. Villanova is a team to me that, like you said, shoots so many three-pointers. St. Mary's does defend the three well. I think St. Mary's offense has been so efficient in that conference. Villanova's defense is far more long and athletic than what they're used to going against. So I think St. Mary's offense will have trouble getting going here. And with the pace that it's at, 130.5 is not a terribly low number. So I'll take St. Mary's and Villanova under.
Fantastic, Kyle. Always love it when you're going on my side. As a matter of fact, I think we agree with most of our games here. There's only like a couple slight differences, so that's awesome. I always feel more comfortable about my betting when that happens, Kyle. How can our listeners benefit from your picks and knowledge this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got quite a few plays here for the NIT, CBI, all the smaller tournaments as well. Don't forget about ones like that. There's some money to be made in those. I'm going to give you a special offer here, Odds Breakers listeners, $249 for the rest of my plays for college basketball the rest of the year. I'm 115-79 so far this year in college basketball. Ooh. So it's been a really good season so far. And I'm certainly not one to beat my chest or to get too low when I'm down, because I know that the streaks and slumps are part of the business. It's going to happen. But, college basketball has been a really good sport for me in the long term, and hopefully can keep this run going here. I've won 7 straight picks as we record this, and I'm 115-79. So March Madness All Access Pass, which includes the NIT, CBI, CIT, everything you can have college basketball the rest of the year, $249. You can send me a message, Kyle at huntersportspicks.com or at Kyle Hunter Picks on Twitter.
Fantastic, Kyle. And thank you so much for coming on again. Really, really appreciate it. I get such great feedback from our listeners every single time you come on. If you guys have any questions for Kyle, please tweet him at Kyle Hunter Picks. If you have any questions for us, please tweet us at the Odds Breakers. We're more than happy to give you a side or a lean on some of the games that you are looking at. Have a fantastic weekend in March Madness and go get some wins.